is the Business of Reselling podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Oman. Hey, everyone, and welcome to episode 56 of the Business of Reselling podcast. Title of this one, eBay Canada will not save your business. This is not a rant about eBay Canada, although if you have listened to my previous podcasts, you may know that I have a few gripes about them. I'm not going to go there with this. I'm just saying the platform on its own is not going to save your business, and it's not going to get you through this situation that we're in for the medium, if not long term, as Canadian resellers. Last week's episode was about, well, I guess it was like 3 weeks ago now. I was kind of like up and down, and things were feeling really volatile, and it's still that way. But things are mostly down now. We had a 0 day, so I'm going to talk about that and just provide some more updates. This is kind of where I'm at right now with the podcast, is giving you updates on our business, what we're doing to pivot, how I feel about the reselling climate in general, and hopefully some guidance, tips, tricks, ideas for you to help you pivot as well. So maybe I have some American listeners, I don't know. But this is really going to be all about Canadians for the time being, because our situation as resellers is really different. I've actually stopped listening to all of the American reselling podcasts and channels that I used to like. There's some good ones out there. There's Justin Resells. I really like that one. I'm not listening to them anymore because none of the advice they give is relevant to Canada now. Things have changed so much up here. For better or for worse, right now it's for worse. Maybe in the long term it'll be better. So, update. The bid rush auction that I told you about in the last podcast. I'll start with something positive. That was a banger. Really happy with the outcome of that. We actually had a little bit fewer bidders than we had in our second auction, and we were just shy of the revenue as well, but this was a smaller auction. We felt like the second auction was the best one in terms of the items we had for sale. But this third auction performed better for the quality of the items we had. So we had, I think, like a 96% sell through on it. And yeah, we were quite pleased with the prices that most of the items reached. So we felt like things were getting much closer to what we think their value is in today's market. So we're happy. We got 5 new bidders, people we had not met before, including Eric. Shout out to Eric on this one, who has inspired me to do this episode tonight. I often forget that podcast listeners can also be our customers. I tend to think of you as distinct groups. So it was kind of cool to come to that realization that that's not true. So if you're both a listener and a customer, I thank you for that, and hope you'll come around in the next auction or make an offer on eBay, because I am telling you right now, I am ready to blow things out. I absolutely do not care, with some exceptions. The long tail items in my store have got to go. They have got to go. So here's what I'm doing with eBay. An update on how I'm pivoting with eBay specifically. So I'm down to 950 listings to move from .com to .ca. And it's like I have like 4 days before those unsold listings could disappear. They disappear after like 60 to 90 days. Of course, they can't, make it an actual number so that you can plan 60 to 90 days. So I don't have much time to finish that project, but I have no motivation whatsoever to finish it. It feels like it's not worth my time. The sales on eBay are terrible. There's still 70% of the online orders that we're getting. Like Poshmark is up to like 30%, maybe not even. But everything is down overall, right? So we're not even shipping 30 packages a week right now. We should be 60 to 70 would be like a normal time, and then late Q4 around Black Friday and stuff, it would usually go up to 80 to 100 for a bit. So that's not going to happen this year. Anyway, it's not very motivating to continue to move all those listings over and have .ca algorithm treat those as new listings because that's what the algorithm will do, and then not get the sales. Fair enough. I have thousands of long tail items that can take months to sell, sometimes longer. And what I'm left with these 950 listings is a lot of that stuff, like just stuff that like, you know what? Maybe I should never have listed that in the first place. Maybe nobody wants these vintage Portugal travel brochures. Like, what was I thinking? It's stuff like that. And it's just like, with the size of the .ca Canadian audience of buyers being what it is, it's 10% of the United States. The likelihood, like if I didn't sell this thing on .com in 3 or 4 years, what are the chances I'm going to sell it on .ca? Now, look, I did get lucky with a few things that I put up. I had this like Freemasons apron, just for an example. It's an older one. It was cool looking. I posted that on eBay 2 or 3 years ago, and I put it up on .ca for a much lower price, granted. So there's that too, but it sold in just a few days, so I was pleased. So there's these small wins, sometimes I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, I'll get back on it. I'm going to do 10 more listings and then I'm going to go have another coffee or whatever. But these 950 listings I have left are it's either garbage or it's gold, because I don't want to actually repost the gold with the price of gold doing what it's doing. I had actually started to take down our gold listings already a few months ago when the prices of gold started to spike, because I realized all of a sudden I was underpriced with my gold, like jewelry and pendants and stuff. And I thought, well, I got to raise everything by 20%. I did that. Then gold kept going up. I'm like, I got to raise it another 10%. And then it just kept going up. And I was like, you know what? I'm taking all these listings down because I don't want to fumble gold. Just as a rule, don't fumble gold. So this is what I'm left with, and I'm still going to peck away and poke through it, but I'm taking more and more things out that are just going to go in the next warehouse sale whenever that can happen. I don't know when, because it rains every weekend now, and we were going to do it last weekend, but no, this weekend there's an atmospheric river. Oh, it's not just an atmospheric river, it's a quote massive atmospheric river, which whatever that means. Maybe they'll wash out some more highways or something. But anyway, I digress. I have to finish the project. If I don't finish it in the 60 to 90 days, I can repost everything and then take it down right away and reset the 60 days to buy myself more time. I've also been processing a lot of new inventory. And for better or for worse, like Johan keeps sourcing, and I understand why. Like, it's fun. It's fun. Like, sourcing is the fun part. We have hit a couple of really great estate sales over the past few weeks. We've restarted our partnership with a very big company. That's the junk hauler that we work with, and we're starting to get inventory from there again. And that's fun. Like, we're finding some cool stuff. Like, the other day, he found this game called Stop Boris. It was made in 1980 by Corgi, and it's like basically like a battery powered spider, like this gigantic spider, and the spider like climbs up this cardboard wrap that they provide for you, and then you have this little gun, and you shoot the sensor to like kill the spider. It's absolutely stupid and unreasonably cool. I have that listed on our .ca store. If you want to check it out, you can find it in our store. Just search Stop Boris, and you'll find it easily. So, like, pretty cool stuff, and it's, like, really hard to say no when you're trying to pare down your inventory, but you're still finding these awesome things, which may not sell because the market of buyers has shrunk by 90%, but, what do you do? So, where am I going with this? If we can't move our volume, whether it's through warehouse sales or bid rush auctions or whatever it is, like, the warehouse is gonna end up getting choked out, like, that's just it's very full now, and it's, relatively organized, but that's just gonna keep getting worse and worse because 'cause we're sourcing more than we're selling. And it's kind of always been that way, but now the pace of sourcing is much faster than the pace of selling, because the pace of selling has slowed down a lot. And so this is kind of the opposite of what we were trying to accomplish when we talked back in the end of August, and we were saying, yeah, it's a good idea to try and pare the warehouse inventory way down so that if things get really bad and we have to give up the warehouse, it'll be much easier to do. Well, we're not on pace for that. So, hopefully our pivot works. The bid rush auctions, as I mentioned already, are going well. They're quite lovely. I really enjoy this platform. Again, if you're interested in trying it out, go down to the show notes and you'll find a coupon code to save money on fees if you want to try bid rush yourself. But, we're having small auctions. We could make them bigger. We could make them more frequent. I don't know why we're not doing it. And motivation is a tough thing right now, I guess. That's real. But, we're moving the equivalent of like 3 boxes of stuff every couple of weeks. And that is not going to help with the volume of excess inventory that we have. It just isn't. So I do want to increase the pace of those auctions and have more of them and start making them bigger. It looks like after just 3 auctions, we're starting to build a tiny little bit of momentum. I can kind of feel it. And that's cool. But I just don't know if it's going to be something we can grow big enough to like really, really start to move inventory. But you know what? It's decent revenue. They're easy to put together. They're fun. The customers are cool. So there's really not a downside. It's way cheaper than selling on eBay. But yeah, the problem is we have too much stuff and not enough buyers. And like I said at the beginning, a couple days ago, we had our first 0 day in probably 10 years. We've been rolling with this phrase, no 0 days, for the last 2 months. Is something to kind of keep us motivated to keep going. Like, we haven't had a day with no sales at all until this past Tuesday. And yeah, we had a full 24-hour period with no sales on any platform. So we did have a 0 day. And it bummed me out, and it's silly, and it shouldn't. It's one day. It doesn't matter. I went to bed, and then I woke up to a $125 US sale, and I was like, all right. We're back in business. But a 0 day, it's like a thing. When you never, ever have a 0 day, and then a decade goes by, and then you have a 0 day, it gives you pause. So hopefully that doesn't happen again, although I bet it will. So anyway, that's kind of the update of what we're doing in the immediate term, and how it's working for us. But I want to talk specifically about eBay.ca. Um, like, in addition to myself, many resellers have moved their listings over from .com to .ca so that they can exclude the United States. And we have the eBay International Shipping Program that's rolling out that should take care of some of the complications that have come with shipping to the US in the past couple of months. But I'm not in it. I haven't been enrolled in it. I don't know why they would. I mean, okay, I guess it's random or whatever, but when you have a 2-time Entrepreneur of the Year winner with 5,000 listings who's extremely vocal and has a podcast and talks about eBay all the time, you would think that like maybe they'd want to beta test it with us. I don't know. I'm just saying, whatever. I'm not enrolled. I'll leave it there. But the hope is, right, that we move all our listings over to .ca, that we can enroll in eBay International Shipping for Canada, and then we can all open up our sales again to American buyers. And that's all great in theory, but I'm going to say this right now. eBay.ca will not replace the business you have lost. So if your sales are way down, eBay.ca is not going to fix it. It is not going to fix it. And there's a whole bunch of reasons for that. And a lot of those are like macroeconomic and they're political, right? And it's all of that stuff. And it's the tariffs and it's the economy and it's the unemployment rate and it's the fear. Truth. But the fact is, like, eBay.ca just does not have the same traction, traffic, or visibility that .com. .com has way more eyes. Does not matter what they say. All the eBay reps will be like, no, it's your listings are still visible on .com as long as you don't have the US excluded. That is true. Technically, they're visible. International buyers, where do you think they're going to eBay.ca to find this thing that they can't find in their own country? No, they're going to .com because that's where everything is. All the eyes are on .com. And it has always been that way. We started on .ca years and years ago when we first started on eBay. We were on .ca, and then we decided to start moving over to .com, and our sales went up like 50% right away when we did that. Why? Well, there's more eyes there. Um, we never changed our item location to the US, which a lot of Canadian sellers did. We kept it in Canada the whole time, never changed that. Um, but I think also because American buyers were seeing the price in American dollars and not some weird amount that was converted over from Canadian. So like, $35.68, which was a bit of a signal. Like if you see like a whole bunch of different like cents at the end of a price, it's like, what is this? And it kind of clues them in like, oh, maybe this is international. So I think like that was part of the reason. But I just don't think that the algorithm brings us much visibility, even though they say that your listings are visible. So if you're not selling like the hottest items in the world that Americans want, like I just don't think you're getting visibility among US sellers who have similar things. Um so there's that. It's always been like that. Now, the item location being in Canada is also going to deter buyers now because US buyers are now seeing a message about tariffs when they go to make a purchase. And this just happened to me a few days ago. So actually what I've done is I've decided not to exclude the US from my .ca listings, but I don't include a shipping rate. So it says like contact a seller for shipping costs if you're in the United States. So I just had a situation where a US buyer made an offer on a swatch made in Switzerland. I accepted it. It was a fair offer. And then they got a message and they were like, oh, I can't buy this because it says that I'm going to have to pay tariffs. And I was like, oh, no, no, no. I said, don't worry about that message. Like the shipping rate that I'm charging you is inclusive of tariffs. So you are paying the tariffs, but I'm including it in the shipping costs and then I'm going to pay it. So you won't have to pay anything when the parcel gets to you. Oh, I don't believe that. I can't risk it, they said. I'm like, "Well, there's no risk. Like, I promise that there's no risk because they're not gonna tariff twice. Like, it's gonna happen at the beginning. You're gonna pay for the shipping, then I'm gonna pay for the tariffs, and all is well." No, 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 and we had this back and forth, and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, you know what? Like, if you wanna believe the bot over the human being, you know, you do you, but you're gonna run into that situation." So US buyers are seeing that message, so that's deterring US buyers. Now, eBay international shipping, I can't comment on it because, like I said, I'm not enrolled, but it doesn't seem to be working for everyone. Um, there's no timeline for the full rollout, so I don't know when I'm going to be enrolled. So I can't comment on what that's going to do for visibility. However, like if it's not fully functional, then nobody who is enrolled in the program can really say if it's working. Also, nobody's been enrolled long enough to get any meaningful data about it, so forget about EIS right now. I'll talk about it when it's actually happening. And also, very obviously, Canada has 10% of the US's population. So even though you're going to post everything on .ca, it will increase your .ca sales. It will. It will increase your visibility. Canadian buyers like to pay in Canadian dollars. They're going to see your listings in Canadian dollars and be happy about that. So your .ca listings sales will increase from where they were in the summer, but they will never fully replace the .com income for all of the reasons that I already said. So if you're hoping that .ca and eBay International Shipping are going to save your business, it won't. And you're going to have to find something else to fix it. So some of the things we're doing, and I have been talking about these over the past few weeks, but a summary for anyone who hasn't heard those previous episodes, for more details, go back and listen to like episodes 52 to 55. So I've been increasing Poshmark. I'm up to like 1,300 listings on Poshmark. This is increasing. The sales on Poshmark are increasing because I'm doing the things and working the platform, which is fundamentally how this works. But this is like, I'm taking up like the tiniest fraction of a percentage of market share in an already small Canadian market that's relatively saturated with sellers. Poshmark has done a great job of bringing sellers onto the platform. You could argue that their success in bringing more buyers to the platform was less. So it is quite saturated with sellers. So I'm taking like this little teeny tiny 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 little bit of market share that's helping me, but it's finite. It's not going to grow probably a whole lot further. than it already is. Anyway, it's better than it was. It's like 50 to 70% better than it was. Bid Rush, same thing. Honestly, like, what if everyone who listened to this podcast signed up for Bid Rush? Actually, it would be really great because then there would be auctions happening all over the country. That would be good for the platform. Bid Rush is trying to build their audience. Like, but again, Canada, it's finite. Like there's just gonna be a limited number of buyers no matter what. But with Bid Rush, I think we have a way longer runway. There's more opportunity to capture an audience that buys from us because they know us, they know the brand, and they trust us. So that's different from eBay and Poshmark, where you just kind of like, some people follow a seller or save a seller, whatever, like they know this seller on the platform, but they're identifying more with like the platform's brand than with your brand. Like it's hard to build a brand on eBay and it's hard to build a brand on Poshmark. But with BidRush, I can build my brand. I can build my email list. I can communicate with buyers in my own way. I can include my logo, my branding, my messaging, and personalize it. So I think that there's much better opportunity to build like a loyal customer base here than there is on eBay or Poshmark. So I'm feeling good about it from that perspective. And so we're going to keep going with it. But I don't think any of that is going to bring us back to where we were. We're down 50%. And you're talking about a business that's multiple 5 figures a month. It's a big blow. Like it's tough. So what do you do then? If you can't replace your revenue, what do you have to do? You have to cut the costs, right? That's business. So we've given ourselves this kind of 6-month runway to see how well we can replace the income that we lost at the end of August. And then we're going to assess, okay, like to bring us back to the same level of profitability, at least percentage wise, like what costs do we have to cut? And the biggest cost is the warehouse, which I hate. Like I don't want to give up the warehouse, but chances are they're going to raise our rent again because there's absolutely no rules for commercial lease rates, which is a whole other thing about small business that just pisses me off. But anyway, that's something we have to seriously look at, and downsizing the business to the house. We also have an opportunity to not do this at all for a while and kind of see how things play out. We actually have a piece of land out on a ski hill called Mount Baldy. It's outside of Oliver. Look it up. It's cool. It's small. We've owned it for a long time, and we've talked forever about building a cabin on it. And we were thinking, like, we have decent free cash flow. Like, why don't we stop reselling for a while and build this cabin and get some immediate equity in that real estate investment? That we could sell it, or we could, rent it out or whatever. Or we could run away to the hills and hope we don't get invaded. Has multiple purposes. So we're thinking about that as a possibility, and maybe just abandoning reselling altogether for a while, which, then I could start a whole new podcast about building a cabin, and that wouldn't be bad. Hopefully you would listen to it. We have 2 basement suites in our rental, which we can sublet. Now, if we had to move the business back into here, I don't know if this would work, but the World Cup is coming to Vancouver next year, and hotel rates are like $1,000 or $2,000 a night. And I have 2 basement suites, so on the SkyTrain. So I feel like maybe that's an opportunity to earn some short-term money, which would cover a lot of our larger living costs in a really short period of time. So, we have lots of things that will buy us time if we need them. But I mean, none of these are the answer long term to like, what do you do with a business that is your entire soul and what you breathe and do every single day? I don't think things are going to improve economically or politically for several more years. So, long term, what are the options? Where I could work harder to monetize the podcast, I guess. That also, like, that's something that when you monetize a podcast, like, you start with literal pennies of revenue, so it doesn't move the needle in any way. It takes a long time to build, and it's not my favorite thing to do. But it's an option for maybe a little small extra revenue stream But yeah, anything I can do to avoid getting a job. It's frustrating because I don't I'm not at the point yet where I feel like I'm failing, but it is easy to kind of sink into that sense of like, oh, we failed at this. We did something wrong, we screwed it up, we didn't Trump proof our business well enough. But it's ridiculous, like what's happening is, we can only focus on the things that we can control, and the things that are outside of our control are having a massive impact. And that's a very hard thing to go up against, no matter what kind of small business you own. So when I sit back and go, like, how, as somebody as educated as me, screwing this up, it's like I have to keep coming back and saying, like, no, like, what's important now is to make smart decisions about the things that we can control, um, so that we can continue to shape our lives in a way that suits us and makes us happy, no matter what is going on in the rest of the world. I don't know, maybe that's a little too philosophical for a reselling podcast, but ultimately these are the kinds of decisions we are going to be making. And some resellers are going to go out of business. Like there are some already. I've seen people who closed up shop and said, screw this, I'm not doing it anymore. And I get it. There's going to be more of that. There's going to be people who try and try and try, and it doesn't get there and they have to stop. Then that might be us. Like, you can't really rule that out. But ultimately, look, and I've said this before on the podcast going back 3 years now. Rich people only get richer. Rich people continue to demand collectibles and weird shit and all the rarest stuff that they can find, and they will continue to spend their money. And staying in reselling is going to mean finding the high demand items that the rich people want and sticking to those, sticking to the things that sell fast. There's no space for long tail items. There's no more money to waste on sourcing that stuff. Costs too much to store it. It takes up too much space. Sell the high demand things to the rich people, and you might be okay for now. But as we all know, that is much, much easier said than done. So that's going to be it for me today. It's heavy. I'm feeling heavy. But maybe in a couple of weeks I'll be feeling optimistic again, and you'll hear a totally different side of Jess. Anyway, let me know what you think. I'm rambling a bit, but leave a comment. Tell me what hit you hardest about what I've said today, and let's just keep that conversation going and continue to help each other stay in reselling if that's what we want to do. Talk to you next time.